Hello everybody, this is B back again, and we are back with Our Life Begins. I had a red-handed robin prepared, but I'm gonna have to fix it because things went wrong and it's not working in my favor. So I'm gonna have to redo what I played, unfortunately, because the data got corrupted. So we'll get that back up and ready to go soon. Be careful, that's mine. I thought you were looking for your glasses. What are you doing with that? We're gonna say, what are you doing with that? Cove shrugged, squinting at the newly found cover in the dark. Why has this froze? Cove? Oh, shoot. Okay, what are you doing with that? I just thought it was cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you granting your confusion forgotten. It's really cool. Oh yeah? What's it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight, and there's magic. Does it have mermaids? No, but I love the main character because the squire's really brave and funny. It has cool pictures, some of them even take up the whole page. Mommy reads it, she uses different voices for every character. There's a dragon in it, and crazy things happen. I'm gonna go with the main character because Squire's really brave and funny. But they're stuck working for this knight who's rude to them. Nobody believes they can be a knight, but that doesn't stop the Squire. So they go on an adventure to show the king they're worthy. Cove looked excited by your words. He flipped the book over and focused on the backside summary. His interest in it was only spurring your own. You were reminded of the hours you spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it, or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and the pictures inside. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. It was definitely the time you were supposed to be asleep. You couldn't keep staying up. You wanted to read the book with Cove. We're gonna read it. You climbed out of the bed and padded over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You'll see. You let out a quiet cry of victory when you found what you were looking for. You jumped back onto the bed before the hidden boogeyman could catch you unaware. Cove continued to watch as you wriggled your way beneath the blankets you discarded earlier. You pulled it up over your head. What's... Come on, check it out. Bring the book, too. After a minute, the bed dipped as Cove got on in it. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling the switch. With a click, the small space flooded with a bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else. Sorry. You tilted the flashlight so it was shining down towards the floor of your blanket cave and away from Cove's sensitive eyes. Is that better? Is this too loud? It's not too loud, I don't think, is it? Can you guys even hear it? I don't think you guys can hear it, but it's blasting in my ears. So that's kind of weird, but now you guys should be able to hear the music. I believe. Or at least lightly. I hope. It looks like you should be able to. Yeah. Now we can read, and my moms won't know. I do this all the time. I've never tried something like this before. I do this all the time. As a kid, I seriously used to be the type that would stay up way past bedtime reading a book. One time, I think it was called The Secret Cellar. It's kind of like The Secret Garden. I stayed up because I knew I was going to have to return it to the library the very next day. I didn't get any sleep. Like, I had went the whole day and I was like a zombie because I had stayed up all night reading that book. So we're gonna go with I do this all the time. When mom or mommy check on me, I have to hide everything under the blanket, but I haven't been caught before. Do you want to try? Cove nodded, pleased by his straightforward response. You placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he laid down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine it on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed until you shuffled back a comfortable distance. You wanted the story to be narrated. You thought it was best to take turns reading the book silently. You flipped through the pages to show Cove some pictures. You wanted the story narrated. You loved it when Mommy read to you. Why not read as loud as you dared this time of night? You didn't even need to study the page for long. There was once a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted to do was good. Cove was taken aback when you began to recite the words by heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly, a word which had given you grief in the past. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon you got to the exciting part, the squire and the dragon's first meeting. The squire walked up to the fearsome dragon, and there, borrowed sword in one hand and a torch in the other, her red scales danced in the light like flickering flames. Could you say the dragon's lines? Do you need to get your glasses? No, my head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while. I can kind of see things alright, but I don't know any voices. That's okay, it's fun anyway. Let me just... Cove read the page, his mouth moving silently with the words. Eventually he nodded to himself and spoke them out loud. Who goes there? Roared the dragon. Who dare enters my cave? It was your turn. You went into the squire's famous speech. The next time you looked up from the page, your gaze landed right on Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. You started when Cove caught you watching him. He raised a questioning eyebrow. What? Nothing. Cove shot you a strange look, but you went back to the book. You did too, even as your eyelids started to droop. When you opened your eyes again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed in your pillow, your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. Slowly you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. You rode onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, when you saw a dark shape towering above you. You froze. Then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove, is that you? Yeah. Oh. You shifted and felt something cylindrical pressed against your thigh. You fumbled for it. The familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it on. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were left on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Can't sleep. I keep waking up. Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep. It's weird here. You frowned. You helped your mom redecorate it only a few months ago. I like my room. It's not that it's bad. I just always sleep in my bed, in my room. That made things a little clearer. It wasn't anything that you'd done. Cove couldn't sleep in a new place. You wondered how long it took for Cove's bedroom in his new house to not be weird to him. Probably a while. I'm gonna go. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He was gonna walk outside back to his own house, this time of night, all by himself. He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. My dad will let me in. I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. Well, if you have to, I'll come with you.
Why?
Why? I can get there myself, and then you have to go all the way back here from my house. I want to stay together more. I think I should come. I gotta make sure nothing happens. I want us to stay together more. Cove stared at you for a long time. You cocked your head, confused. What? He didn't answer your question. Instead, he broke eye contact, busying himself with picking up his pajamas. Okay, you can go with me. Are you getting the rest of your stuff too? Like your toothbrush? I don't know where my mom's put it at all. No, just this. You could understand that. He didn't really need anything right now, and could always pick up his things tomorrow. Cove visited your house during the day all the time. You grabbed the flashlight and waited by the door. Soon Cove joined you. The two of you crept out into the hallway as silently as you could. Running away again! You sidestepped the loose floorboard at the end of the hall, alerting Cove to it as well. Apart from that, you had no problems making it to the front door. Everybody was in their rooms, so the rest of the house was abandoned. It was brighter outside. Here, some of your other neighbors had lights coming through their windows. Still, you felt better when your flashlight turned on. You pointed it in the direction you were walking. There was no sound apart from the chirping of crickets and the crunch of some loose sand that got all the way up the street from the beach. After a while, it was almost soothing. You thought back to your unlocked front door and hoped one of your moms didn't wake up. If they locked it, or checked in on you, or both, you'd be in a lot of trouble. Surprisingly, it was Cove who broke the deep silence. This was my first sleepover. Really? I had sleepovers before. Sometimes I'd go to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Shiloh's slept over a few times too, and other stuff. Cove remained quiet. The silence stretched between you, but it didn't feel awkward right now. You didn't feel the need to break it immediately. How was it? Or is it? It's not bad. I liked reading your book. You did? I kind of thought you weren't having fun. You didn't really say anything when we were eating. I didn't know what to say. Oh. Now you were on the one who didn't know what to say, so you did nothing. You said nothing. You just lit the path ahead. The two of you kept walking side by side, your shadows stretching across the concrete. In almost no time at all, you arrived. Cove's house loomed above you, the windows dark. Mr. Holden must be sleeping, just like everyone else in your own family. Are you sure your dad's gonna open the door? Yeah, he wakes up real easily. As if to demonstrate, he rang the doorbell. A couple of minutes passed and you wondered if Cove was wrong. Then the front door unlocked and cracked open. Out came his dad. Mr. Holden wasn't wearing all his clothes. His hair wasn't up in a ponytail like normal either. You felt a little bad to disturb him when he definitely had not been expecting anybody. His eyes had been narrowed into tired slits, yet they opened wide when he saw you and Cove. Kids, what in the world are you doing? Everything okay? I can't sleep. Cove said my room is weird. Mr. Holden blinked, his features still twisted in panic. Then he closed his eyes and let out a deep breath. Right, well, that is a shame. What's done is done. Come on inside, son. We can talk about what happened in the morning. Okay. Cove yawned while accepting the terms without complaint. Thank you for dropping him off, Bee. I think you'll have to be part of the conversation tomorrow, but we'll deal with that to do next time. Now, let me walk you back. It's not safe for you to be out this late by yourself. He moved a step past you, but you shook your head. I'll be fine, Mr. Holden. My house is right here, and I have a flashlight. Mr. Holden remained where he was, his brow furrowed, and placed a hand on Cove's shoulder blade. Then I'll stand right here. Cove and I will be your lookouts. We'll close our door once you made it back inside. You nodded your head at the compromise. Have a good night. Take care. Mr. Holden waved you off. As you turned, your eyes met Cove, still standing beside his dad. His lips turned up at the corners. He spoke in an almost whisper.
Bye.
Bye, Bee. Thanks for coming. Flashlight clutched in your hand, you jogged back to your house. You did feel better knowing Cove and his dad were watching to make sure nothing happened. Once you got to your front door, you glanced over to see the two waiting. You waved. Faintly, you saw Cove wait back. You quietly closed the door behind you, smiling to yourself. Then you tiptoed into your bedroom. The flashlight was returned to your drawer in the rightful place. Although Cove had to go back home in the end, you still considered the sleepover to be quite a a quiet success. He did hope the next time he'd be able to stay the whole night, whenever next time came along. The next morning you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice, a soft shake on your shoulder. "Bee, wake up. It's time to get up and eat 'em. At 'em." Eat 'em. The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed at your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. Cove's already out of bed. You blinked at her for a moment, confused, until you caught the empty sleeping bag on the ground and remembered what had happened during the night. "But I didn't see him out there. I wonder where he's gone off so early." You hesitated, giving Mom a look with your mouth hanging half open as your mind processed what to tell her.
Everything okay?
"Bee, is everything alright?" Cove couldn't sleep. He said my room was weird. What? Where is Cove now? Did he sleep on the couch? Mom was still looking at you expectantly, but as you started to explain what had happened, you were interrupted by Mommy calling from downstairs, saying Mr. Holden was at the door. You could tell by the way that your mom's forehead crinkled that she was even more concerned. When she turned to head downstairs, you pulled back the covers and jumped out of bed to follow her. "Cliff, how are you?" Mom joined Mommy at the door, while you hovered at the bottom of the stairs and peeked around the corner. You saw Cove's dad standing just outside, a sheepish smile on his face. He was alone, and you wondered if Cove was alright. I don't want to alarm you both, but Cove showed up back at home in the middle of the night, and he wasn't alone. How dare you rat me out? He rubbed the back of his neck anxiously. He must have felt bad about sharing the news. Mr. Holden kind of reminded you of Cove in that moment. Your moms exchanged a matching pair of surprised looks, Mommy gasping and covering her mouth with a hand. The two of them looked your way. You quickly ducked back behind the wall. The boy and I made sure Bee got back safe, but Cove wouldn't tell me what happened. I thought you might have a little more insight. We didn't hear a thing during the night. I noticed Cove was gone just minutes before you arrived. Is he alright? We're so sorry. We'll be having a talk with Bee about this for sure. Dang it, Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden pulled his lips into a tight smile and held up his hands as if to say it wasn't their fault. He's fine. I just wanted to find out more before having another talk with him. I should have known he wasn't ready to spend the night at someone else's house. You felt bad for Mr. Holden. He looked so sad. They discussed the event for a little bit longer, your parents promising to call him if they found out more. And when Mr. Holden finally said goodbye, you heard Mom calling your name. Immediately you panicked, wondering if you should find somewhere to hide. There was a growing sense of dread in your stomach that you were about to get into a lot of trouble. Your moms found you eventually, though you were relieved to say they didn't look very angry. They did, however, look very, very worried.
It's ridiculous.
What were you thinking, Bee? Why didn't you tell us something was wrong? Why did you leave the house? You toed the ground in front of you, refusing to look at them. I'm sure you were trying to help him, but you know it's dangerous to go outside at night without a parent, don't you? No, because I do it all the time. Nodding your head, you couldn't do much more than listen as your parents explained how dangerous it had been for you and Cove to wander off to his house on your own. We left out of town on our own, and you guys didn't even notice until, nighttime, so... Personally, you didn't think it was that bad, since Cove only lived across the road, but you didn't tell your moms that. Exactly! You were already in enough trouble as it was, so when they asked you to promise to tell them something like that next time, you nodded your head in agreement. Even though it was a little unfair, you accepted the punishment that you weren't allowed to have any sleepovers until you could prove to your moms that you were responsible enough. You were determined to show them that you could be trusted. When you saw Cove next, he was sorry you had gotten in trouble. After hearing a similar lecture, Cove got away with a warning from his dad. Mr. Holden felt the negative experience was enough already, and Cove didn't need additional punishments. In the end, the two of you and your parents were eventually able to move past the ill-fated sleepover. It had all been a learning experience, according to the adults. You could accept that. There were definitely things you learned from it. And hopefully one day you and Cove could finally be able to have a successful sleepover. Oh, we're out. Okay, and then the summer ended. move to the next step. Step 2. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your mom's, Lizzie, and Cove as the 5 of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. He didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? 'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. We look over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hasn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon, and you certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we just play a little longer? It is almost over. You put on your best puppy dog eyes. Oh, don't look at me like that. Like what? Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well... Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory.
Okay.
All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside. Understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get a seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Or maybe the playground, or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Don't I get a say in this? Lizzie looked over at you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to that question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mother's had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Are you going home too, Bee? Cove was leaning again towards the beach, and you could tell he wanted to stay out a bit longer. We're gonna stay with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. He made a little gesture that you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading towards the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the ocean. That's pretty neat. It wasn't a long throw, but you didn't care to try for it. That's cool. You looked for your own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purpose, a small growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure you couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. I don't think he's ever told us how he got it. When do you get it off? Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second he thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That's not very long at all. You didn't think a few weeks was... It'll be off before you know it. You offered a smile, but Cove wasn't looking at you. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. That's great. We can sit together during lunch. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knee as he drew them close to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
I want to go home. Then sudden sadness caught you off guard. You were so excited that Cove would be going to your school, it made you feel bad that he was so upset about it. Well, I can walk back with you? Cove shook his head at the offer. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. He's not gonna like what I'm gonna say, but this can be your home. It's a really nice home if you give it a chance. Cove didn't respond to that. He just tightened his arm around his his knees, resting his chin on them. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. Of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you're going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that'd be fun. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared a glance over at Cove and saw that anger had slipped off his face in favor of something more almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember, a long time ago, when you first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day. To listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you never met. Things changing is hard. We're gonna hold his hand. You're not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cove's hand. The one closest to you is the one in the cast, so you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope, next summer, I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sound of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You definitely tried to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. You were reluctant to move, having enjoyed sitting together, but you were hungry. You stood up and dusted the sand off to yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own. B, thanks. It was nice where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards the house, leaving the waves and the summer behind. In between. Oh, so we're gonna change ourselves. We're still... I don't want... Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I forgot, because you can get, like, a bunch. I wish I was... Hey, Bobby!
Bobby.
That's my name! Except mine's an E after it. But that's cool!
Bobby. Bobby.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bobby. Bobby. Bobby.
Sorry, got excited over that. Yeah, we're gonna have a voice name then. Let's see our hair. We're getting smooth, long. Okay, hold on. We're gonna design ourselves. We're gonna get our. There we go. We're gonna go with this. Our face is gonna be oval, kind of. Yeah, we got round eyes. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited about my name. Change page. Oh, birthmarks, scars. I don't have any birthmarks. No. Those are cool though. Like, hand size, medium. Chubby, slender, large, medium. I have, I guess, medium hands. Glasses, none. I didn't get glasses until I was like in high school. But we're gonna do some... I feel like I should go with... At this point, we probably do have glasses. So... Next page, arms and legs. Birthmarks, pants, dresses, type, skirts, hats. I did have braces when I got older. So, we'll do that. We'll be honest. I do have freckles all over me. And I would say probably at this point I probably have like arm and a leg scar because I lived on a farm. So yeah, I think that's good. I want to have a love, comfort, direct, relaxed, direct, nervous. I want this. Okay. We're gonna save. We're out of time anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is definitely cute. I love it a lot, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!